Yesterday, I embarked on a bit of a personal journey. For the next 90 days, I'm giving up snacks between meals, alcohol, sodas, and any other sweet drinks other than coffee and water. I'm giving up using the internet for anything other than work-related functions. I'm giving up using my phone other than vital and essential conversations. I've given up hot showers. I've given up video games. I've done all of this voluntarily, and no, I'm not in a work release program. I've entered into a challenge called Exodus 90, and joining us right now is the co-founder of Exodus 90. He's James Baxter. James, I know I'm underplaying that. This is more than just a challenge. This is kind of a spiritual renewal, isn't it?
Yeah, Larry, first off, thank you so much for this invitation. It's a real joy and privilege to be with you today.
You bet.
Yeah, our work at Exodus is, at the core, just fundamentally about serving the needs and the desires of men. And, as we read in the book of Exodus, there's this like interesting conundrum actually where, the Israelites are so powerful that the Pharaoh kind of enslaves them and then makes their work harder. And ultimately it's out of fear that he enslaves them. And I think that as an image is just beautiful for our time. And I think in part why Exodus is moving like it is. Men are so powerful, they have so much potential, and so many idols can get in our way. And, our work's about trying to remove them to grow in the love of God and ultimately to serve our families better.
So carrying the obvious analogy here, and by the way, there's a spiritual component to this. You do devote yourself to an hour of prayer and scripture every day, at least minimum. But the Exodus analogy is so important here because you're saying all of those things that we're abstaining from, those are the things that currently in your mind, in our mind, is enslaving the American man.
Yeah, for sure. And even the global man. I think one of the things that surprised me about Exodus is, at the beginning, I really didn't know what to make of this. I didn't think it would become, what it has, reaching tens of thousands of guys all over the world. And we have guys now in 70 or more countries that have undertaken this. And there's something in it that they're deeply looking for and missing, from their current experience. And, in many ways, like if you look at it only through the lens of a challenge or even through the ascetic lens, you're really, really missing the whole story. And to me, you're missing the point, right? Because ultimately, this is about a union with God that can only come, through a prayer life, and it's not a self-help experience. Exodus is a fraternal one. And, the other men in your fraternity or small group are there to encourage you, show you mercy. And ultimately, it's for you to realize that, you're on the path just like them, and there's so many men just like you, that want to be better.
James, I noticed yesterday on day one, I was struck by the silence. There's suddenly a lot of silence in my life. I don't have music just playing in the background indiscriminately. If I'm choosing music, I'm choosing faith-based music, and I'm listening in a much different way than just in the background. TV is not running in the background. There's a lot of silence in my life right now, and I find myself filling it with my own thoughts. I know that doesn't sound like a radical revelation, but it is for me.
Yeah, so this, Larry, in the first couple weeks of the experience is what, we hear all the time. Like, wow, I thought that there was not time for God, or there wasn't time for my wife and my kids. I thought I was just so busy. And, there's a couple like truths I think that are embedded into Exodus and cultural lies that it confronts. And it's just that we're not busy. It's just that we're prioritizing the wrong things. And oftentimes it's not our fault. It's just as a culture, we just get sucked into these worlds that are actually very far, from what really matters and very far from what, frankly, Christians and not even just Christians, but normal life was like even 50 years ago. And so, that's why it's so profound. So ultimately, my question to you, Larry, is like, well, how are you going to use that time?
Right. Right.
And hopefully, that's about prioritizing the Lord and prioritizing your family, first, and, and becoming a better, doing your job better. So we hear this all the time too, like, gosh, I'm so much more productive. My output is so much higher. My thoughts are so, philosophers will reach out just like, I am thinking so much more clearly because of this. Sales guys are like, gosh, this was the best quarter of my career.
Amazing.
And it's just like, yeah, that's what happens when you put the first things first.
See, these things were supposed to make things so much easier and more efficient so we could have more time, but actually the opposite has happened in our lives. Why the cold showers? It's so funny when I lay this out to people, James, and I say, and they're with me, and it's like, oh yeah, abstaining from alcohol and sweets and eating between meals and fasting on Wednesdays and all that stuff. It's like, okay, I can. And then I hit them with the cold showers. It's like, that's it, deal breaker.
Yeah, the cold showers is what everybody talks about, and there's a lot of research about the health benefits of cold showers, but that's certainly, not the primary reason that we would undertake them. I like them so much because ultimately it's just a great way to start the day with something you would rather not do.
Hmm.
And I think, so many saints have talked about this, but when you can really bookend your day, with the Lord and, with acts that draw you out of yourself and into Him, it changes the whole trajectory of your day. And this is true of my own life. And I don't say this as someone that's figured it all out or some spiritual guru. I'm not those things, but those days that I start the right way with God are very different from the days that I don't.
A couple quick questions. Can non-Christians or even agnostics or atheists participate in this? Do you encourage that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, just from the bottom of my heart, it's such a joy actually that, Exodus is serving and attractive, to folks that don't share the whole Catholic faith, which is definitely at the core of our work.
Yeah.
We've really not. It's an interesting kind of experiment we're running, and it's that ultimately I think the truths of our faith lead to a deep and lasting happiness, and of course, the truth and the happiness is going to draw other people into it. And so I can honestly say this kind of non-Catholic component is growing, and even like non-religiously affiliated, components of our work is growing, and
God bless.
that's deeply moving to me. And I would just say this: I got invited into a fraternity this year, which was a really interesting experience by people who don't share the faith and are not practicing it, and that to me is a beautiful thing that really excites me for our future.
Also, real fast, if someone's hearing this and they say, "Oh, I'd love to do this," is it too late? Can they join midstream?
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So I would just encourage anyone that might be interested in something like Exodus, and that reason has got to be personal to you. It's not about just doing hard things or proving something to yourself or to others. It's just a draw, to greater freedom and to be a better man. If that's something that interests you, yeah, check out our site, exodus90.com. It's not too late to join. This is not I guess I would just say this: there's no such thing as the perfect Exodus. Like look at the Israelites in the book. That journey is not a perfect journey,
Right.
and neither are any of our journeys through the Bible.
So what you're saying is between now and Easter, as long as I don't make a golden calf, I'm ahead of the game. Okay, that's a good thing. All right.
Well, I think what you'll realize, Larry, actually, is that you have a lot of golden calves.
Yeah.
I do too.
That's fair to say.
And you'll hopefully overcome them and offer them back to God.
All right, and finally, and really fast, hypothetically speaking, I'm in the media, and I do YouTube streams, and I do streaming news, I do radio. If I were to stream a video game for work, like I'd research the new Hogwarts video game coming out because of the J.K. Rowling controversy, and I commented on it live on my stream, would that be violating Exodus 90? Hypothetically.
No. I mean,
yes. James Baxter, co-founder of Exodus 90, thank you so much, and thanks for creating this. I'm excited for the journey. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.